What's up, people? I am back. Sorry I didn't do the warrant videos. I had to do something earlier, so I will do that tomorrow. But I had to get to this video, and since Richard Donner died, and I was going to do the X-Men video, I'll do that next week. But because oh my god, I was gonna say it again. Richard Donner died. I feel like I had to, so I'm gonna push the Lethal Weapon review a day early. So I'm gonna do this one today. We're gonna do the first one, and then we're gonna do two tomorrow. But Lethal Weapon, I watched it the other day, on Monday, and then we watched two last night. So I'm just going through the movies, and man, I really love these movies, and I understand everyone loves Richard Donner's Superman, and I'm not really gonna talk about that. I'm more gonna talk about, I think I think this is his best movie. So for me, I really love the first Lethal Weapon. I love them all. I think Lethal Weapon is one of the few franchises where, honestly, I would say almost every entry is good. I'll admit I don't watch two as much. Man, it's mainly because of the apartheid stuff. I'm just gonna be honest. I think it bogs the film down a bit, but I really do like them all. Like, I don't think there's a bad entry, in especially three and four. I think three is my second favorite. Like, three is really good. I just think, Riggs and Murtaugh are established. Rene Russo was an awesome addition to the cast. So, but we're gonna talk about the first one, and I think this is one of my favorite Christmas films. I mean, because I get it. Some people will try to say it's not really a Christmas movie, but I would argue it is. It's set during Christmas, and there is a scene where you see a bunch of Christmas lights. So, and in my opinion, this movie, I would argue, there were kind of buddy cop stuff a little bit before Lethal Weapon, but I would really say this was the one that I would kind of say, I don't know about created the genre, but it's one of those that I would almost say, I'm gonna say it. It created the genre because to me, because then look what we got after this. We got a bunch of several. I mean, and I get it. I would almost argue like you had Miami Vice, but that was a TV show. So you did kind of have buddy cop TV shows, but you didn't really have it like in a mainstream movie. So Lethal Weapon was like one of those I would really say. And man, Danny Glover and Mel Gibson, they kill it. And Mel Gibson's one of my favorite actors. I'm never gonna hate him just because he said some meaty words a decade ago. Sorry, I'm not. The dude made fucking this movie, The Patriot, Braveheart. No. He was having alcohol and drug problems at that time. So I'm not gonna hate Mel Gibson because he said some mean words a decade ago. Or I guess a couple mean words before that. So I'm just gonna leave. Mel Gibson's the man. So, and to me, these two were great. And okay, more further ado, let's get into the movie. But cheers first. So the film starts off with Amanda Hunsaker, who's the daughter of Tom Atkins, who we see later in the movie. Tom Atkins was great. He's in a lot of 80s movies. So the film kind of starts off, you have a cool Jingle Bell Rock opening. Very 80s, like the really bright, colored lettering and just all of that. And so we see this girl fall and she dies. So that's how the film kind of opens. And it's kind of cool because it starts off very, like, you don't know what this movie's going to be. Because, this girl died, and that's kind of all you get. And then we're introduced to Murtaugh. One of my favorite characters, man. We're introduced to him and his family. He's a homicide sergeant for the LAPD. And then we also are introduced to Riggs, who his wife died a few years earlier, so he's very suicidal. So like the first two films, mainly I would really say the first one. They don't really do the suicide thing in the second one, but
where like his wife died, so he's very suicidal. He's super aggressive. There's a deleted scene. I don't think it's on any standard version. I think you gotta buy like a certain cut of it, where there's a deleted scene where you see Riggs have a shootout with because there's a guy shooting at like a school. But I can kind of understand why they cut that out, even though this was like 1987. They probably because the guy was shooting at kids, so they probably didn't want to show that. So yeah, they cut it out. It's not in a lot of versions you watch. So, but it's a good scene. You see how good of a shot Riggs is and all. So we're introduced to Riggs in the normal version, where he's trying to fake like he's buying drugs, and then he goes crazy when they start a shootout, and he almost like shoots one of the drug dealers. Then you have a scene where Murtaugh finds out about the murder. So actually, that was what came first. So he finds out about the murder, and that Amanda Hunsacker's actually she's the daughter of his friend, um, Michael, that's Tom Atkins' character. So Riggs gets partnered with Murtaugh, and their introduction's pretty funny. Like he flips him, Riggs flips Murtaugh's really cool scene, and then they're just kind of the banter between the two. That is the thing I love about in general all of these films is the banter between Riggs and Murtaugh, especially in the sequel. But I actually think it's really good in this one. Like they instantly just that chemistry the moment they got together just it hit. It's just I fucking love this movie, man. And then so I think this is where we're introduced to the bad guy of the film. I'm trying to find his name. Gary Busey is one of the bad guys. He's playing Mr. Joshua. He was actually a pretty good villain. He's almost like kind of the main villain because you do have a secondary villain in I'm trying to find the dude's name. Oh, Peter McCallister, played by Mitchell Ryan. He was in Halloween. He's a Halloween alumni. He was in Halloween 6. He was the fucked up the guy he used to work for. Loomis used to work for. So we're introduced to Mr. Joshua and McCallister. So they're like the bad guys of the film, and I think in general, I think these movies always had a good bad guy because it wasn't over the top, and that's like the one thing. They're not super powered. They're not military-esque bad guys. They're just drug dealers basically. Jet Li to me is my favorite bad guy of the film. So he's fucking brutal. So when we get to Lethal Weapon 4, yeah. So their first mission together is that there was this jumper who wants to do suicide, and Riggs goes up and basically tries to convince him to come down, and just Riggs' craziness is like, I'm gonna handcuff you to me. We're gonna jump down, and the cops had an air thing, and they jumped on that. It was funny, and then Murtaugh going freaking out on Riggs and saying, "Do you want to kill yourself?" It was pretty intense scene though, because Riggs was like willing to kill himself. Really well done scene. And then before this scene, you had Murtaugh tell Michael Hunsaker, who's Amanda's dad. This is Tom Atkins' character from we all know. Most people know him from Halloween 3. He did a lot of like 80s movies. He's the dude with the big bushy beard, not beard, mustache. So he tells him about his daughter being dead. It's a really well done scene. I actually think Tom Atkins' acting was well done especially when he was like kill them. I'm like, okay, that actually felt like real emotion. Like I gotta say, the acting in these movies is well done. It doesn't feel like a B movie, and I always, as usual, I love the sax. The saxophone in these movies, just that music every time. It's just simple, nothing crazy, just it fits. So Murtaugh and Riggs go to I'm assuming like this is some drug dealer's house, and the but you had a shootout. Riggs ends up shooting the witness, and then throughout the film, like you have Murtaugh kind of like talking shit to Riggs about like you just kill people and shit. So it was awesome. But at the end of the day, Riggs saved Murtaugh because Murtaugh shot the guy in the leg initially, and they were gonna arrest him, and then he was gonna do the spin around and have the gun, and then Riggs just shot the shit out of him. So then we get the scene where Riggs meets Murtaugh's family. Really, just this film is just simple. No, you get action scenes, but it's not crazy action scenes, especially compared to a lot of other action scenes movies at the time. This was just a simple, just buddy cop. These two getting to know each other, and honestly, him meeting the family is pretty funny. Like we meet Murtaugh's kids, his wife, his older daughter, who clearly has a little bit of a crush on Riggs. Um, then the next day, they attempt to question Dixie, who was a prostitute that knew Amanda, but they come to her house and her house blows up. And Riggs and Murtaugh question a couple of kids who say they saw the witness. And basically, the witness, they witnessed, it was Gary Busey's character setting up a bomb. Really well done scene. It's pretty funny. And you could tell the escalation because they had a mercury switch, which is clearly like professionals. Like this isn't like some jabroni, criminal. Like these are like actual people. Like the escalation and the way, like Riggs when he explained it, it's so like you could tell like the escalation of the situation. So they Murtaugh confronts Michael, and Michael basically, this is where it's admitted that it's not they didn't want to kill Amanda because of what she saw, because they wanted to kill her because of what Michael did. And Michael, this is where it's admitted that they had Shadow Company talking about they existed since the Vietnam War, and they're bringing shipments of drugs and all that. But before Michael, because Murtaugh was basically saying you're gonna help us, and you're gonna help us catch these people. And before that could happen, Michael gets killed, assassinated. No, it wasn't heroin. It was heroin they were bringing in. So really well done scene. And then they shoot at the helicopter, and obviously the helicopter escapes. Mr. Joshua calls McCallister and basically says, now we gotta ramp up because the cops know. So the next scene we see Riggs talking, I'm assuming to like some prostitutes, and because I think he was trying to get some questioning out of them, and then Mr. Joshua shows up in a car, drive by, shoots Riggs, but Riggs has a bulletproof vest, and they're basically, the Shadow Company wants to find out what the cops know. So they end up, I think Roger realizes the person that his daughter, because his daughter mentioned that she has a boyfriend she's meeting, and it turns out it's Mr. Joshua, and he ends up kidnapping her. And and then this is a thing in the 80s, like a lot of these action movies, you're gonna get always some kind of kidnapping, like either somebody's daughter, somebody's wife. It's always something like that, or a kid in general. It could be boy too. But just this film is awesome, and then the scene where basically Roger had to tell his wife what happened, it was really sad a little bit, like really, and on Christmas, or I think it was on Christmas or the day before Christmas. So basically, they devise a plan. Riggs acts like, they think, because the Shadow Company, they think Riggs is dead. So they devise a plan to try to get his daughter back. So Riggs goes up and sets up a spot where he could start sniping. They meet, and basically Roger was stalling until to get Riggs to start shooting. But then, unfortunately, their plan is foiled by McCallister, and they all get captured. And basically, they all get tortured. Um, Joshua ties up Riggs, and basically he gets is electrocuted by the, I don't remember the dude's name, but it's this Asian dude who's in a lot of fucking these movies. Like he was in Die Hard, and a year after this, like he's in a lot. He's usually like a henchman for bad guys usually. Um, while Murtaugh is getting punched out. So Riggs manages to kill the guy. He escapes. Starts shooting the way he just, but the scene where he just walks in and snaps the dude's neck, like he just straight up, like almost like movies Jason style, straight up snaps his neck like all the way. It was like holy shit. Fucking Riggs is crazy, man. Fucking, I love this movie. It's just such a good movie. The action's really good. It's not crazy over the top. So they basically shoot their way out, and Mr. Joshua manages to get away, but McCallister tries to get away, but Murtaugh catches up with him and shoots the car he's in, shoots the driver, causing a crash, which causes the car to blow up. So McCallister's done, and they go to his house. They go back to Murtaugh's house because they know Mr. Joshua's gonna be there. But Murtaugh basically was smart and got his family out of there. They capture Mr. Joshua, and this is where we get the final fight. And basically, they want, because Riggs wants revenge, so they end up fighting, and Murtaugh has like hold all the cops back from getting involved. Really good fight, just very simple, just straight up hand to hand. I don't know if it's raining or you just have like the sprinklers on. It's just badass. Riggs wins, but they're gonna arrest Mr. Joshua. He tries to grab a gun and then he gets shot. And then it's Christmas, and then basically Riggs spends Christmas with the Murtaughs, and that's kind of how the film ends. Like, and it clearly starts like they're clearly starting to set up something. I love this movie. It's very like the word I use a lot in this review. Simple. It's nothing crazy. It's just a simple buddy cop movie. You have two really good actors working well together, and the chemistry is beautiful. I think Richard Donner, what a genius when he made this movie. Just like the music's really good. I love the score. Whenever I watch these movies, whenever the sax plays, I just love that shit. I just love that shit. Like, definitely one of my favorite films of 1987, for sure. I mean, there's not a lot to say. Like, it's a really good movie. I think it's one of the best Christmas movies. I really love the relationship between everybody in this film. I think the casting's really good. It's Mr. Joshua was a good bad guy. I think Gary Busey was awesome. McCallister was great as kind of like the background little boss, but he wasn't the main. I really would say Mr. Joshua was almost more the main villain, because McCallister gets killed pretty early. He's just kind of like the main boss for a bit, and then he gets killed. But yeah, just simple film, nothing too shabby. I watch this film all the fucking time. I don't even just watch it during Christmas. I can watch it like any fucking time. If I'm just in a mood, something that's not a superhero movie or a slasher or whatever, I just put the Lethal Weapon movies on. They're so good. And like I said, this franchise is really good. I don't think there's a bad entry in the bunch. I'll admit I don't watch 2 as much as let's say 3 and 4, but I do watch them. I think they're all good movies. There's not a bad one in the bunch. I think the chemistry between Mel Gibson and fucking Danny Glover is fucking genius. Like, all of them, the relationship between those two are beautiful. I was just checking how long I've been going. But, yeah, the relationship between the two is just beautiful. Like, even in, like, the sequels. And like I said, that's not a bad one. This film is a 10 out of 10. One of the best cop movies in general. Buddy cop movies, definitely. Like, that's all I can really say about these movies. Like, that's it. So, This movie is fantastic. I watch this all the time. I would advise you, if you've never seen this movie, watch. I honestly say watch all of them. Watch all the Lethal Weapon movies. They're all great. I don't really, like I said, there's not a bad one. I don't think there's one I'm like, this is shit. They're all fucking good. I think some are better than others, and I think this is probably, I would say this is the best one of the four, but I wouldn't disagree if somebody said 3 or 4 either, though. So, tomorrow we're going to review Lethal Weapon 2, and I will do the Warrant video tomorrow, so there will be 2 videos tomorrow. And then next week we'll do Lethal Weapon 3 and 4, and then we'll get to that pitch X-Men 4. That'll be next week, I promise. Probably another fixing and more band stuff. So, that's my plan for my channel. I gotta say a thank you to my subscribers for getting me to 119 subs. Just wanted to say that. But other than that, I'm gonna cheers and peace out. Fuck Warner Brothers. Fuck James. Fuck James Mangold. Fuck Disney. Fuck OneRing.net. Lethal Weapon is phenomenal. Go watch it. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Peace.